What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Update 1.55 is here, and along with it came 3 brand new events, and I'm going to take you through each and every single one of them. The first was the Sunday Cup over at Kyoto Driving Parl Miyabi. The second was the Japanese FF Challenge 450 at Sardegna Sea. And the third is the WTC 600 over at Interlagos. Now, there is actually something to note when it comes to 2 out of 3 of these events, and that is that they take place at circuit layouts that have never been used before in GT7's career mode and events. Now, yes, they do take place on smaller overall layouts, however, it is great to see every single type of track and variant actually start to get a look in. So let's get into event number 1 then of this update. This is going to be the Sunday Cup over at Kyoto Driving Parl Miyabi layout. Of course, aimed at some of the more daily commuter cars with inside GT7. So in terms of this event, it is a 4-lap sprint race. Now, honestly, I don't mind the fact that it being so short. It is a Sunday Cup race after all. And of course, we do have the Miyabi layout actually getting a look in this time around. Now, in terms of the starting grid, this is going to be 8 vehicles. It must be a road car. First place is 20k, second is 12k, and third is 8k. Main rival cars are the typical likes of the Sunday Cup, featuring the Demio, Honda Fit, Aqua and Prius. BOP is off. Car use must be a garage car. Car settings are allowed, mechanical damage none, and both penalty settings are set to off. So of course, you could probably tell by the picture that this event is aimed at use for the Toyota CHRS, and one thing that surprised me straight away was the fact that this is only an automatic vehicle, which is not really too good if I'm totally honest, but I will fully admit I did have fun using this more commuter type vehicle in this race. So let's get into it then. As you can see, 7 cars up ahead, and first of all we have the Toyota Aqua, and we're going to try and throw it down the inside here before tackling the Honda Fit as well. That thing was almost standing still as our almost crossover type vehicle goes down the inside and takes 2 positions inside this same amount of corners. Next up we had the Honda S660. This thing is usually a little bit better through the tighter corners, but on the straights, well, it didn't stand much of a chance. A little bit of a drag race would ensue, and we would end up getting the better of the plucky little Honda. Next up we had the Mazda Demio, which you can see they were taking the wider line through this corner, and I just threw it up the inside and got another position secured there. And of course, we're also going to then take the Daihatsu Copen on the inside. So there we go, we are currently up into P3, and next up would be another plucky little Honda in the form of the Honda B, even smaller than the 660. We were going to go ahead and try and get this one done and dusted sooner rather than later. So coming into the tight right hander here, we're going to try and get him under braking. Of course, our car a lot heavier than the little Honda, however he leaves plenty of room considering how small that car is, and we do get P2 secured. We then had a decent amount of seconds to try and chop away from the leader, which was driving identical machinery to us. So into the right hander, we're going to see if we can get a little bit of a gain on him here, which we do. We're then going to run into the slipstream. Again, since we're in equal machinery, I can't really, outperform him, but again, if we can get a bit of better driving than him, we can probably get this done and dusted. Again, I didn't have the drag there on the main straight, so we're going to tuck back in and get ready to do it into turn 1. So down the inside we go once again, plenty of room on the inside there, and then we're going to secure this one off quite easily. And with that, our Toyota would have the lead secured, and we go on to take a relatively easy win in the end. As you can see, winning by just over 2.5 seconds by the finish line. Job done, first place. So let's have a look at the timing board for this event. Overall, it's a completion time of 3 minutes 34.882. Our fastest lap was set there on the final lap on lap 4 of a 52.651. Now, for such a short race, the payout for this one isn't too bad at 30,000 credits with that clean race bonus and about 5 miles travelled to get this one completed. Event number 2 is at Sardegna Layout C. This is the Japanese FF Challenge 450. Now, in terms of the number of laps, that is set at 3. For the starting grid and the number of cars, there are going to be 8 cars in total. Now, car type must be a road car, and of course from Japan with an FF drivetrain layout. Now, in terms of the event itself, this is perhaps the most amount of fun I had out of all the events, and that's not really saying much, but I did genuinely enjoy this challenge. Now, in terms of the rest of it, the rewards for first place are going to be 25,000 credits, second place 15,000 credits, and third place 10,000 credits. Now, in terms of the main rival cars, we're going to see the typical array of Japanese front-wheel drive cars, mainly from Honda. So we have the Civic Type R EK98, the Type R EK97, the Integra Type R DC298, and of course the Integra Type R DC295. BOP is off, car used is a garage car, car settings are allowed, race settings there is no damage for this one, and both types of penalties are completely off. So getting into the race then, I wanted a bit of a challenge here and I went for a bog standard Civic Si Extra or the Honda Civic EF, which is brand new to update 1.55. I knew here we'd probably have a massive disadvantage considering there is some very fast sections where especially the likes of the EK Type R and the Integras are going to be fairly quick. So move number one then actually came on one of the faster cars. This was the Integra Type R from 95 and we're going to throw it around the outside and get this move done and dusted. I found here that the AI were incredibly inconsistent through that left-hander and that allows us to get a couple more moves done. So we're already up to P5 and up ahead of us we have our toughest opponent of the race. This is the Integra Type R from 1998. First of all, we're going to try it around the outside, getting ready for the inside line here, but unfortunately we're not going to get that one done. The Integra going around the outside and once again securing that position. And being easily the fastest car on the grid, the Integra would then disappear off into the distance, making a move on the Swift Sport for P3. So into the left-hander and it would be us next to pick off the Suzuki Swift, trying it around the outside of this corner right here and getting ready to get ourselves on the inside for the left-hander, which is exactly what we did. And honestly, the Suzuki didn't put up much of a fight. So a little bit further up the road and once again we're catching up to the Integra as well as an EG Civic. We're then going to try it around the outside once again to see if we can get the moves done and dusted, but we end up being blocked off just slightly by the EG there. That is going to allow the Integra to try and fight back as we have the inside line there, and then we're going to try and just slot in position, which we do manage to do. We then tried to throw it down the inside of the EG but couldn't quite get the move done again, and then once again that pesky Integra would then absolutely have the legs on us down the main straight and once again would secure P3. So only one more lap to go for our little plucky EF Civic to try and take the win here. Going into turn one we managed to try and get a bit of a run on the Integra, to keeping it nice and smooth, getting up onto the grass slightly and trying it around the outside once again. However, the Integra does have the inside line there, but we preferably do have the better overall line. So we managed to get that move done and dusted and then try to throw it around the outside of the EG Civic once again. And this time we are eventually going to get that move done and dusted. So next up was another EF Civic, which has been falling back since the start of the event. We're going to try it once again on the inside to outside line and try and cover it off before that tight left-hander, and hopefully the rest of the grid gets caught up, which is exactly what happened, as we did eventually manage to take a win here. Overall, an extremely close and fun race. Now in terms of the time taken, it's very similar to the Sunday Cup, which we did first up, a time of 3 minutes 45 seconds, 0.887. Now fastest lap was not set by us, that was set by Fraga, who was driving the Civic Type R EK98 with a 113.748. In terms of the payout, it isn't too bad, 37,500 credits for this one. Mileage wise, you are looking at 5.3 miles travelled, and with that we're going to move into the final event for 155. Here we go then. This is the World Touring Car 600 at Interlagos. Now unfortunately this is a much shorter version of the WTC 600, aimed of course at the new Hyundai. Now in terms of the laps, it is a 5-lap sprint race with 16 cars total on the grid. PP rating must be 600 or less. Now for first place and getting gold, you're going to take away 90,000 credits without that clean race bonus. Second is 54,000 credits and third is 36,000 credits. Now your main rival cars are the typical array of WTC 600 vehicles, that being the likes of the NSX, WRX, Supra and RE and Mimia. Now in terms of the car restrictions, BOP and tuning prohibited is set to off. Car use must be a garage car car settings are allowed, mechanical damage is off, and once again, both types of penalties are set to off. Now I like to run my events on the hardest difficulty and try and stay as close to possible as any PP limit, and I tried the 5N here with its kind of default setting, and unfortunately it just wasn't enough, losing by a couple of seconds. So I went back to the drawing board, made some adjustments to both the tyres, suspension and brakes, and well, this car become absolutely incredible, just under 600 PP, around about 599, and as you can see straight away we are making some moves. And very early on, it almost felt like the car was actually coming alive, which is very rare for any type of EV in GT7. Usually they feel absolutely terrible, but with only a few slight tweaks, the car was actually being very, very responsive and very, very well behaved. Now, in terms of the actual event itself, there is some serious bit of kit in this event. You'll see the likes of Lamborghinis, Honda NSXs. There is also another Ioniq 5N as well racing here. However, that car does tend to drop back. The main thing I've noticed with that vehicle is that it starts at the front, holds up a bunch of the AI, and then eventually they will get their way through. If they do though, they do tend to kind of disappear off into the distance. So at this point, we're just trying to work our way through. We're currently on lap 2. We're going to try it down the inside of the Honda NSX here. Of course, that thing very, very quick on acceleration, but we do manage to get the edge on him. Next up, going on to the main straight, we do have the overtake button enabled here, and we're going to go around the outside of the GR Supra before going ahead and tackling the likes of the RE Amemia and a pair of Subaru Imprezas. At this point, I'm hoping I can out-drag them before the braking zone, where we typically lose a bit of time overall to the more conventional type of vehicles, and that's exactly what happened. So up to P5, and in P4 up ahead we do have the other Ioniq 5N. We're going to try this one down the inside, and we're going to get that move done and dusted with relative ease. And then we have a bit of a gap to the rest of the field. The likes of the Supra, Gallardo and 911 GT3 were very, very quick through this event. The first of the 3 cars that we tackled was the Toyota Supra, which we once again took down the inside, and then we tried to race the pesky Gallardo, and this thing was extremely quick in a straight line. Even with our overtake button enabled, that thing would absolutely have the legs on us. So at first we had to back out from the position and give P2 back before going once again. Next up, we try it around the outside, and this time we do get the move done and dusted, only just though going into the right-hander here. And of course that left just one more car. On the final lap and the final corner, we're going to try and attempt to make our move to take the win. Trying it down the inside of the 911 GT3 here, we accidentally get out broke and kind of go into the side of him, nudging him a little bit wide, but not too much there in the end. And after that, we did go on to take the win by just over a single second. So there we go, first place for all 3 events. In terms of the time for this one, it is a little bit longer, but really nothing too long. 8 minutes 38.796. We set the fastest lap on lap 3 of a 141.953. Once again, a very nice, close and enjoyable race there. In terms of the payout for this one, I didn't get the clean race bonus, but I did get the 90,000 credits for first place and 13.4 miles travelled. And there we go, that is all 3 events for update 1.55 done and dusted. Now in terms of the events, of course, it is very poor that we only get 3 typical sprint races. However, it is nice to see the likes of Miyabi and of course Sardegna Layout C actually starting to get a bit of a look in. Again, there's a lot of these different kind of layouts for a lot of tracks in game that never ever get chosen for either sport mode or single player, so it is nice to see these actually included with this update. Huge thank you to my channel members on screen now, and I will see you a little bit later on. Take care guys, peace.